Okay, we're running a series here about the horsemen of the intimate apocalypse. And if in the previous episode we spoke about the view of self and other and how the two communicate in relationship as the signals to a happy or fulfilled intimate relationship versus not happy, not fulfilled one, today we're going to talk about comparison, okay? Why it happens, how it happens, and the obvious antidote, which it's obvious, but why the heck don't we do it? Hi, this is Liana, Holistic Intimacy Coach. Welcome back to my channel. Here, I help you get your orgasmic intimacy. So let's dive into this one. One of the horsemen of the intimate apocalypse is comparison. You probably know this. Everybody in today's society is going through the rage of comparing themselves to what they see in terms of influencers and what they show about their relationships, what they see in movies, what they hear in interviews or podcasts, because a lot of people are happy to prove themselves as authorities and therefore share the highlights of their intimate relationships to promote themselves as authorities in a lot of fields, not just intimacy. That's the crazy thing here. You're a successful entrepreneur if you have a happy marriage and you start to share stuff about your marriage as if that somehow gives you credibility into your entrepreneurship. So these are some of the ways, the obvious ones, in which people start to compare themselves to standards that are, well, they're not called standards, but they are presented as the go-to ideal for being in a successful intimate relationship and having cash to spend them on luscious sexcations and all of that. And not just the fear of missing out, but the fear that you're a loser, whoever you are, when you listen to those things, is triggered through the roof. Okay? And that's the first way in which we start to compare ourselves. Okay? And I've seen this one in my work also. I've seen people coming to sessions, having started a relationship with somebody who they did like, and then down the line, as they got to know the person better, they started comparing themselves or their partners to other relationships that they saw around them. And why do they do that? Here's why. People in social circles, not just in podcast interviews or in, their own vlogs to promote their work, but also in their social lives, they share highlights from their intimate life. And the people who listen are very easily turned into prey of comparison. Sadly, this is one of the nasty things that happens in social encounters or social circles, parties, gatherings, when people start to vent about their intimate life and about the crazy things that they did. The others who maybe, we don't even know if those things were actually true. That's one of the things, because we were never there, right? And there was never any proof that that happened, so it's just a story. And people take it for granted, and then they start to, compare themselves to that story. And they bring misery in their intimate relationships. If you don't have the immune system here, yes, you too can fall prey to comparing to whoever you heard bragging themselves or bragging about their relationship or their, palmares. The whole slew of people that they slept with and the crazy things that they did. So the immune system here that we all need is we're lacking. And here are just a few components of this immune system. Number one, the self-awareness that maybe those things in reality, if they are real, they might not be actually so enticing or enjoyable for you. Enjoying, they might not be so great for you. That's what I meant. First thing that you need to realize is that those are stories, and you don't even know if those stories are actually how things happened. And There's no point in comparing yourself to something that you have no proof that that's how it was. And you should never even you don't ever go down the line of, well, is there any proof? Because I don't believe it, okay? Don't go there. Just forget it. Forget you heard these things, in my view, and focus on what you can do on your relationship. Secondly, another way in which people compare, and I think that that's very, bringing the apocalypse of your intimate life, they compare partners. So somebody brags about the entire list of people who they had intimate moments with, and sometimes they can even show them. So you start to look at those people, and then you think, well, why isn't my partner looking like that, dressing like that, talking like that, willing to do XYZ? So either you compare your moments themselves, the places where you have those moments, or the people with whom you have those moments. No matter which way you want to compare, it's still bringing the apocalypse of your intimate life. Why would you do that? Why? Not a smart move at all. In my view, the way out of this is to become immune for your intimate life, for everything, but especially for your intimate life, because people now overshare. And they overshare as hooks to grab attention, because a lot of people seek attention for various reasons. People overshare because they're bored and they want to be perceived, even if they're not selling anything, they want to be perceived as more, having a higher status in society. And apparently doing crazy things in your sex life gives you a higher status these days. You know, with all the sexual liberation and sexual whatever. So there's a lot of oversharing, and you need to, learn to navigate it. And as a coach, I can tell you from working with people, there are 3 ways in which you can do that. The first one, you got to know yourself. And the best way to know yourself is through individualized sessions. If a coach is trained in this area, they will help you in a session, 2 sessions, 3 sessions. I think that depends on the skill of the coach, but also your willingness to contemplate things, to be real with yourself, and then be real in the discussion with the coach. So it takes a bit of time for you to clear up your values, because those values will shape how your body answers in response, basically, to erotic stimuli. Then the amount of intensity that you can actually hold without being in fear of losing out, fear of becoming a loser, fear of whatever. That's one. How you are really, so not performing, but really you. And then, obviously, how often you need it, how you need it in various moments, how satisfying it actually is, and how to pick up when something was satisfying for real, not just because you ticked something off of a list, but it was actually satisfying for you. And also, if somebody's really willing to go down this line, you can, through this process, realize what were the moments that transformed you and how. And transformation can be in all ways. Transformations for the better, transformations for the not you, transformations for the worse. Okay, transformation isn't always in a good sense. And intimacy, if you're not conscious what you're doing, you, your partner, the circumstances, the meaning that you attributed to it, or what happened afterwards, and the meaning that was attributed to those moments afterwards, they can all contribute to the transformation, your transformation, in all possible directions. And these things need to be assessed, okay? And this one is an individualized coaching or even therapy. If you want to go to sex therapy, if you consider that you need that, there's no judgment, okay? Whatever you feel drawn to, you go and you do your thing. You start to understand yourself. When you start to know yourself, hearing these stories is going to seem or feel different for you. Meaning, you may, depending on what your skill is, you may start to pick up when something's an exaggeration, a brag, or you can pick up the emotional cues that the person is transmitting as they're telling the story. Okay? Even if the story sounds plausible, you can still feel by the emotional imprint if that story was truly the case, or if that part of the story was truly the case, and so on. Knowing yourself can help you pick up sometimes, not all the time, pick up those things. And that's a great gain for you. Secondly, when you start to do this process, if you're in a relationship, your partner is going to feel it. And the beautiful thing here is that they might, okay, it's not a guarantee, but they might join along or just open up more, be more receptive to you, be more receptive to the things that happen in between the two of you. And therefore, they show up in a better way, a deeper way, a more vulnerable way. And beautiful, intimate moments, if you want to look at the potential to transform, then yeah, they do require some vulnerability. They do require that you show up honestly. And, you know, we're people. We're not always high performing. We're not always blissfully turned on and craving for the other. No, there's an entire palette of emotions, sensations, levels of intensity, levels of desire. And when we show up authentically to what we feel, that's the beauty of an intimate relationship. Why else would you have a relationship if you don't want to be in all those moments and stages with somebody who sees you, you see the other person, you share these things, and you make the best out of the two of you and the relationship as it is? Why else would you be in an intimate relationship? Please tell me you wouldn't be in an intimate relationship because you're just bored or you want to have something to brag about to the others. Because if this is who you are, you're not listening all this way. Okay, so you are also encouraging somehow your partner, your beloved, to show up in a more genuine way when you grow. And what will automatically happen is that you will stop comparing your beautiful, real, human, living vibrantly in love with you and you in love with them partner with stories that you hear about other people that you've never been intimate with, and maybe people who would never be a good match to you, because not everybody's, we're different. If you've had at least two intimate partners in your life, you know that how you show up with one person is not how you show up with the other. Okay? Different things will come out of you, and it's the same for your partner. Different things will come out of them in the relationship with you. We are all different. Also, if you're in a long-term relationship, which I hope that you are because that's the most rewarding one, then you know that you grow and you start to change, ideally in a good way, in the relationship. Down the line, you're no longer the one that you were at the beginning. And it's not always a bad thing. I know that a lot of stories you hear online, because people have to trigger your pain points, they present themselves as, you lost yourself, how you were in the beginning. It's not always that bad. Okay, I know that there aren't many good stories going on around here because they don't sell. God damn it, I don't know why. But have the faith that in your intimate relationship, you can transform for the better, not just for the worst, okay? If you give yourself this space to grow and your partner the space to grow themselves and show up genuinely, this is the beautiful reward. And there will be no need to compare. No need. Okay, that fear of whatever, somebody's got the hotter partner or the more passionate, fiery, intense, whatever else you want to call them, better in bed. That fear doesn't exist because you got the best partner for you in bed. And the third way in which you gain your immunity from or to comparison is if you start to develop your creative erotic muscle. What do I mean by this? You start to get inspired, first of all, by the moments that you have with your partner, intimate or otherwise, because inspiration in your relationship can come from all moments. And if you're truly developed, and it doesn't mean that you've finished developing and you know it all. No, if you've started developing and you have some sense of who you are, you become resourceful and you start to see the inspiration in your own relationship. Secondly, you can take inspiration from creative spaces and educational spaces. And I feel that that is the best way to do it, because it doesn't, in an educational and creative space, there's no comparison. Usually people present ideas, that's how I do it in my Patreon community, the one above here. Ideas for you to try to test out on your own, practices to develop various things in terms of speaking, in terms of listening and receiving, in terms of purging your emotions, because sometimes what messes up a relationship and what kills the creativity are negative emotions and heavy emotions. And I got practices to purge those things. And lastly, practices with your body to try to do that you can gradually and organically, if you resonate with those practices, incorporate in your intimate life. Yep. Plus there are bonuses there with ideas for 12 days of Christmas, sexy gifts, adult accessories or toys. We got a lot of stuff there, and I keep bringing up content there. So that's another way in which you can, outside of your relationship, develop your erotic creative muscle. And when you have that going, your erotic relationship is alive, it's satisfying, it's fulfilling. Even when things don't go so great, if you're truly resourceful, that's not a tragedy. Okay, we tried something, it didn't work out. Okay, it doesn't have to end our relationship, you know? It doesn't mean either one of us sucks. It means this was not a good idea for us. Okay, so what? We didn't have an orgasm, or we didn't even find it exciting. So what if the rest of the planet does? It's not for us. You know what I'm saying? So this is how you become immune in your intimate life, and therefore the horseman of comparison, the intimate horseman of comparison, is no longer there. So if anything here, like working on yourself, allowing the space in your relationship for your partner to also work on themselves, or getting inspiration, if any of these resonate, then check out my Patreon community. Through it, you can also get in touch with me if you want to go for one-on-one coaching sessions. And forget comparing yourselves to others. Experiences, partners, whatever. Forget about it. It's not a good idea. I'll look forward to seeing you in the Patreon community, and we're going to continue here on YouTube with more of the Horsemen of Intimate Apocalypse. See you next time. Bye.